Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Shawn Wilson Show. I'm your host, Shawn Wilson, broadcasting live from deep behind enemy lines in FEMA Region 6. If you don't know what that is, you need to go look it up. I'm pretty excited today. It's going to be a good day. We have a special guest on, Brian Belzer, who is running for Congress in District 6, which is my district, which is cool because I get to talk to him. You know how many times Bill Cassidy's been on my show? A whole lot of zeros. So we get to talk to him here in just a minute. Real quick, let's do business before we do that of taking care of our sponsors. So here's the deal: if you are not a sponsor and you want to be, go to our website, thelibertybell.com. Go to our support us on Patreon page, and you can support us right there. You can either be a contributor, which is $8.99, or you can be an advertiser, which we're going to talk about your business when we do that. Speaking of business, got to give a big shout out to some of our really key people that help us run the show. Places like GR Griffin Construction, who, if you're looking for some construction, they can do everything: roofs, remodels, whole new houses. They can do it all. You need to go check them out. Also, our friend Greg over at Church Funeral Services. He was on the show last time, if you remember. But if you're running into the inevitable thing, death, we're all going to hit it one day. But you're not prepared yet, or you have someone who's getting ready to pass, and you need to talk to somebody about it and get that whole thing planned out, because it's a mess if you don't. Go connect with Greg. Him and his team are fantastic. They'll get you taken care of. So let me do this. Brian Belzer is running for Congress in District 6. And let me just tell you, anybody who's willing to jump into the bloodbath that is American politics right now, we need to talk to him, especially when you don't know a whole lot about him. Because honestly, you guys know me. You know how I like to rag on the Republicans, and I'm a Republican, right? So I want to bring Brian on here because he's a little different. He's not your typical politician, and he's got some cool things I want to talk to him about today. So let me bring Brian on real quick. Brian, what's up, man? How are you?
Hey, excellent. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy and everything. I appreciate you coming on and sharing, what you're doing. Want to give our viewers just a little bit of background on who you are, learn your story, and then kind of tell us why you're running for Congress. So tell us a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about Brian, so we can know who you are and what you do, because obviously politics isn't your main gig, right? So yeah, let us know. I've been to your website. So let me just say this before you jump on. Friends, after the program, go to his website. We'll click it in the links below here on YouTube and other places, but go to his website, belzerforchange.us. He's got a lot of good content on there, and I'm very excited for this. I want to dive into him. So Brian, tell us a little bit about you, man. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up? I think you're born and raised here in Louisiana, right?
Well, I was born in Missouri.
Missouri, okay.
Yes, born in Missouri, north central Missouri, a little town called Meadville, Missouri. And then, of course, my dad was a farmer, and farming wasn't too good of a industry back in the 70s. So we moved first to Arizona, and then the company that he worked for there. Then we moved to Louisiana whenever they shut down. Came and lived with my uncle. And from there, I've been in Louisiana ever since.
Come on, man.
So, I consider myself a Louisianan. I consider myself a Missourian too, but more of a Louisianian. And everybody that talks to me here's my accent, and they're like, "You're not from down here, are you?" So I've got a kind of a combination Cajun / Missouri accent, but and I love Louisiana. I love it. I love District 6. I love Louisiana. I love the people. And I'm a diesel mechanic. I own Capital City Truck and Trailer. Been doing that for 28 years. I don't advertise. All the work that I've gotten has been by word of mouth. It's been great business. I love the diesel mechanic work. Whenever I started out in 1995, everything, I did a good bit of work, but I did a lot of free work too for people that just couldn't afford work. So it took me about 8 years in my business before I started making a profit, which was a good thing for me. It humbled me down. I started living hour by hour, then day by day, week by week. And now I'm at the point now to where I've got real good mechanics. I'm still out there turning wrenches myself. I don't believe in, not doing, if it's my business, I need to be completely involved in it. And that's the same thing with politics. if I'm the representative, I need to be 100% involved in it. I need to be involved with the community. I need to be involved with the people. Yeah, you go to council meetings and all that and listen to what the councilmen and all that have, but it's the people that really matter. That's the number one priority, and that's completely fallen away. How many times I tried calling the current representative 3 times already, starting in January and February. Monday was the first phone call I got back from their camp, and it wasn't even him. It was a representative from him saying, "Oh, we're sorry, we didn't realize you called back in January and February, but we got this information 4 weeks ago from a friend of the current representative, and he said you wanted to talk to us." And I'm like, "Yeah, that was 4 weeks ago, but I called you in January and February." "Well, we have no record of that." And I'm like, I mean, that's not my problem. It's not my fault, but that's why I got into it. I'm like, nobody is returning messages. Nobody is talking to their constituents. It's like they think, I can't be beat. I don't really need to talk to them. I'll go to the councils. I'll go to different places, keep my political looking good and go from there. And it's just, that's not how you become a representative. The people are not here for you. You are here for the people, period. If they have an issue, even if it's the smallest issue at all, you still need to get involved with it and get in touch with them personally. That's my approach. That's why why I've done so good in business, is because I've personally talked to every single customer every time there's a problem, or if there's not even an issue, I keep up with them and talk with them.
Yeah.
That's what needs to be done. And it's not getting done. The politicians are in it for themselves.
Yeah.
And the reason I started, February of 21 is whenever I started looking into running, because it's like everybody just fell off the face of the earth after the current administration got in. They're like, "Oh, well, he'll be here for 4 years. We're not going to do anything to fight him. We'll just continue on." What actually started at the end of 20, at the end of the Trump administration, the rhinos just started, "Oh, well, we can see the writing on the wall. We kind of need to move away from Trump and just say some stuff." And and the current congressman, he said the same thing whenever after Biden won. He was like, "Yeah, the last couple of days of Trump's presidency," he was like, "Yeah, you just kind of move off to the side. You need to leave it alone. Just completely get out of it." And I'm like, "No, that isn't how you work. Republicans stand behind Republicans. The good administrations, you stand behind your president whenever he's doing a good job, period."
Right.
And that didn't happen. And everyone knows it. All the Republicans know what happened. So February of 21, I started looking into it, sat down at my table, wrote down the whole list of everything you see on my website, and then thought about it. And my biggest concern was my wife and my daughter. I'm like, they're gonna come after, especially if the race is heating up, they're gonna try to find something on me. And I'm like, well, I don't have any skeletons in the closet, so I'm not worried about that. But I don't want them involved in this. So as long as it's a clean race, everything runs good, I'm great. I can be very hard, I guess you could say, if somebody comes after my family. You can come after me all you want. You can say whatever you want to me all you want. I've got really, really thick skin, and that's what it takes to get in Washington, for sure. Really thick skin. But then in February of 22, January, I tried calling the Graves camp, nothing. February, I tried calling the Graves camp, nothing. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to put my hat in the race. So my brother-in-law built my website for me. He's a pretty awesome website.
It is. It looks good.
Yes. So he did that for me. I started, another friend of mine did all my signs for me. So it's been a great, and everyone that I talk to loves it. They love the idea that a non-politician is trying to get in there. That's what they like.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, man. I've been around politics for 20 years in some form or fashion, either working on campaigns or volunteering or things like that. We all kind of should be involved, right? Because it's our country, right? That's what we should do.
Yes.
But for me, I have seen great candidates get ignored by the parties, both parties, because they don't fit the style, or And here's my thing: I'm kind of jaded, with I'm not gonna lie, I'm registered a Republican. I don't necessarily know if I like that. I'm never going to be a Democrat, but for you running, and I said Cassidy earlier, and I meant Graves because I was thinking about something else about Cassidy. But here's what I've seen: is same thing you've seen. There's no connection outside of, hey, I did my connection to my constituents is a Facebook video or a newsletter that goes out. When we look at the last couple of years, right? So let's say 2020, January 2020 to right now, we have seen a massive erosion of liberty. And Republicans, and even in our state, especially in our state, we haven't had people stand up and go, whoa, we are not doing that. That is not going to happen. For you, what do you feel like as running for office? Where do you stand when the party's like, hey, we just need to, let's not rock the boat too much? Like, what do you feel? Like, because you seem to me, just from what I've seen on your website, we'll get into it in a minute, you seem kind of like a guy's like, look, you're not going to take a bunch of BS, right? I mean, you can't be a diesel mechanic and deal with some of those guys in the trucking industry and be soft, right? So, for you going to Washington, because here's what I see, and I'm not saying this is you at all, but we get people in and who are like, man, we're gung-ho. And then the party comes in and says, look, I get it. You want to be, but here's what you really need to do. For me, because I've been asked to run on a local level, and I'm like, look, I will burn the party to the ground if I have to, because you guys need to get your stuff together. Where do you stand when it comes to this? Look, liberty is more important than party, and I'm willing to. And you said you're Republican, but you didn't even say you're running as a Republican. So I might be jumping to conclusions here.
No, yeah, I'm running as a Republican.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that. But where do you stand when, like, there's some lines you got to draw, even with the party sometimes? Is for you, are you cool with that, right? And then I know, because I know from people that go to our website, check out our stuff, they're kind of fed up. They're like, when are Republicans going to stop ceding territory to the enemy and giving all our liberties away?
As far as the Republican Party in Louisiana, they have given me no help at all.
Yeah,
none.
I was surprised
told by a higher up Republican in the Republican Party that, hey, we've got a plan for Garrett Graves, and you're not included in that plan. That was the exact words. And I'm just like, wait, I thought the Republicans were supposed to help every Republican.
Oh, yeah.
And whenever it comes down to the vote, it's the people that vote, not the party. The people need to vote on the best candidate for the job, not the party telling everybody that, hey, we don't like this guy. He doesn't, we can't control him. We can't tell him what to do. So you don't need to vote for him. And that's, so as far as the Republican Party goes, if I get in, it doesn't matter what, independent, Democrat, Republican, I'll never be a Democrat, like you said, but I'm still a Republican. I believe in the original Republican ideals, which they have gotten so far away from that. It's ridiculous.
Right.
And everything that can be done can be done. They make it look like it's so hard and so difficult, but it's not. All you have to do is talk. All you have to do is be nice. Say, hey, look, this is what the people need. We need to work towards this. Get the Democrats, the independents, the Republicans, the libertarians, get everybody involved. Come to a nice consensus and say, hey, look, we're not spending $4 trillion over here, but we really need to spend $500 billion to get this economy back up and running. We need to spend $50 billion here to get this going, education, mental health. My big deal is I don't like big government. And as far as the Republican Party is concerned, they like the big businesses. I'm a small business owner. I'm for the small business owner, and I'm for the small guy. I'm for the guy that's paying 90% of this country's taxes.
Right.
Because if you look at what they pay versus what other people pay, we pay a lot more per dollar than other people and other businesses.
Right.
And the current Republican Party is for the big business, because guess what? That's where all their money comes from.
Yeah, it's true.
I have not taken a single dime from any large business, period. Actually, I haven't taken any money from any business. It's all been individuals, and it's been very little. I think I have $3,800 in my bank account, and that's not much for a congressional run, but I've got all my personal money that I'm using to fund this, and it's door to door. I'm talking to the people. I'm getting out as much as I can to talk with the individuals and find out what their issues are. And everybody has the same issue. Nothing's getting done.
Yeah.
There's, Graves is not being aggressive. He's just kind of laying back. And I see, whenever I first got into it, I see what they're talking about, what the Republican Party is talking about now about, well, we have a plan for Garrett Graves. He doesn't want to he doesn't want to be a Marjorie Taylor Greene, he doesn't want to be a Lauren Boebert. He wants to be, oh, well, I can get on this really high-ranking committee and it'll make me look good. I don't care. I don't care if I never get on a committee at all. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is the people of District 6 in Louisiana first and foremost, then the people of Louisiana, then the rest of the country. Yeah. And you start out, I want to get the stuff that needs to get into Louisiana. Roads and water, that's pretty much all you hear from the Graves camp. There's nothing on mental health, nothing on veterans' health, nothing on education. There's so much that needs to go on in education right now. It is unreal. Everybody knows that. And it does not need to be a top-to-bottom approach the way it is right now. It needs to start at the bottom and work its way back up to the top. We need to give the teachers what they need. They need to go. The school board should be there for the teachers and the parents. Once the teachers and the parents tell the school board what they need, then the school board gets with them. Figures out where they're going to get it from, meets with the superintendent. Superintendent goes up from there. And then it comes to me and say, hey, we need $100 million for District 6 for all this, for security, for fencing, for locks with key cards and stuff like that. For, get with the sheriff's office and say, hey, we'll help fund, we'll give you 40% of a pay of a deputy and let's have 2 deputies at every single school. Let's be proactive. There's no reason, well, we've never had any problems at these schools. I don't care. Let's get the deputies in there. Let's get the school officials in there. The police officers in there, get them trained for direct school issue, items, and get more than 2, get like 10 officers trained. That way, in case something happens, another officer can step right in.
Right.
Get it done now. The whole key card access and gates and all that, that's so simple. And some of the richer parishes like Ascension Parish, they can take care of a lot of that on their own. But they're just fighting it, because you've got politicians, and a lot of it deals with how big the cookie jar is.
Yeah.
If enough hands can't fit in the cookie jar, then, oh, well, let's wait for a little bit until it becomes an issue. No, everything needs to be proactive. If the constituents need it, if the schools need it, if veterans need it, it needs to be done. And we need to take that money. There's more than enough money in Washington to do everything we need to do. I've been looking at the budget since February of 21, and it even astounds me. I knew there was waste and fraud and everything, but it even astounds me how much in Washington there is. And so if we get it out of Washington, get rid of the bureaucracy and crap that's going on in Washington right now, get the money to the states, get it to the local area. Okay, the local people are going to be held a whole lot more accountable than Washington. Washington needs to be an overseer and basically say, okay, we've got all this tax dollars, and it's not a one-size-fit-all.
Sure.
Okay, so let's just take school districts. You got Ascension School District. Ascension is, we're a very, very good school district. Livingston, very good school district. You move up to St. Helena. I've got a little bit of St. Helena. That school district, they need some help. Clinton High School, they need some help. Those areas that don't have the tax base that we have in Ascension and Livingston, they're going to need more help than Ascension and Livingston are going to need. Now, I'm not saying don't give help to Ascension and Livingston, but do it on a school by school basis. Sure. It can't be a one size fit all. We have to go in, we have to analyze all this stuff, and we need to do it quickly also and get this money to them. Get rid of the stupidity at the Board of Education at the federal level and take that money and put it down in education. And that's another point I know you're probably going to get with on my website, trade school. People out there right now with hundreds of thousands of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars in loans if you total it all up. And what are they doing? They're sitting at their mama's garage trying to figure out how they can play video games all day long and make money with it. It ain't gonna work. Okay. Trade, it is impossible right now for me to find a diesel mechanic. Impossible. I talked to everybody else. I went and talked to the union. The union said they have over 4,000 open positions right now in the state of Louisiana, just in the southern state of Louisiana. That's
okay. So let's pause right there. So 4,000 open job opportunities in your field.
Yep.
Average salary for a diesel mechanic, what is that?
My guys get anywhere from $80,000 to $100,000 a year.
So 80 to 100 grand. So
yes.
So you're talking so when you say the union was talking about, so is that in South? You said South Louisiana, right?
Yes, South Louisiana.
So 4,000 jobs in South Louisiana, with the average salary between $80,000 and $100,000.
Anywhere from $35 to $50 an hour.
That is really good money.
Yes, pipe fitters, welders, all of it. There's so many positions open, but the school systems are not allowing the ABC and the union and these other companies to come in because they make money on how much money they can get, sending kids to college.
Yeah.
Once the federal government pays for their college, the college doesn't have to worry about it anymore. They've got their money. Now it's on the kid. Now it's on that person that got that $100,000 loan versus, for probably like the unions, it's free. Training's free.
Wait. So
for some of these schools, it's not, but it's still for $5,000. You can go to school for 9 months, learn to become a welder. Whenever you come out, you're making $30 an hour. And in 5 years, you're making $45 an hour. And you can choose wherever you want to go. Period. There are so many job openings out there, and they're paying great money, great benefits, great money, everything. And like I said, it needs to start in like the 11th grade. Get the ABC back into schools. Get the unions back into schools.
Right.
In Ascension Parish, there's a company, Volks Construction. I went and talked with them. They basically said they would have no problem at all taking 11th and 12th graders in for 2 to 3 hours a day, just immersing them in the environment for pipe fitters, welders, operators, everything they do, and give them, $10 an hour, $8 an hour, whatever, just say $10 an hour, give them that to teach them and let them see everything that they do to see if they, well, I thought I liked pipe fitting, but man, I like welding better. Great. Guess what? You got 2 years, 11th grade and 12th grade. Figure out what you want to do and do it. If you don't like none of that, there's electrical companies around here that will do the same thing. They will bring you in, bring these high school students in and teach them everything they need to go and know in 2 years to do what they need to do. So as soon as they graduate high school, go and do their high school trip. I know nobody's going to pass up their high school trip. And then whenever they come back, guess what? They're coming in, starting out as an apprentice. They may make, if they don't go to school, trade school afterwards, they come in, they're making $15 to $20 an hour right off the bat because they've already been trained.
Right.
In 5 years, they've got a house, they got a truck, they've got a boat. And these kids from college are looking out the window like, man, he must be selling drugs, having all that stuff as they drive by going to the lake on the weekend because they have a full-time job. They're productive. They're doing what they want to do and like to do. I tell people all the time, if you don't like what you're doing, you need to figure out what you want to do and do it.
Right.
Don't be miserable your whole life.
Right.
Do what you need to do. So that's
So you're saying right now, I mean, this is huge because this is where people don't get it. Everyone talks about how the economy is struggling. And I agree, it is. Like some of the things we've done as the government's done is decimated our economy. But for a local economy, if you had another 4,000 people, and let's just say they're not making 100, let's say they're making $65,000 a year. And look, that's a good, decent wage.
It is. That's
pouring money into the local communities. Those people are going out to eat. They're going to the movies. They're buying cars, buying houses. That's serious cash in the local economy. And that's just one trade, right? That's just one. Golly, we're missing out so much. But here's what I want to do. I know I don't want to take all your time up. I want to dive into some of your platform because I think it's different, right? It's like your first thing, you have some things called Gold Star, which means these are like the most important things on your list. And I really want to talk about the first one because you have my heart here, right? term limits. This is what you say on your website. 8 years, that's it. Politicians are getting too greedy, and they're getting in bed with too many influencers that are making them do stuff for the money instead of the people. This is what you say. I will limit myself to 4 2-year terms, 8 years, of course. If I can't accomplish what I need to be accomplished, then someone else needs to step up.
Yep.
Okay, let's talk about term limits right now, because that right now, term limits, constitutionally, the president's limited. We all know that.
Yes.
But you're seeing people like Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden and even Republicans on our side who've been there for 30 and 40 years. They're making 100, and I think the average salary is 170 or whatever.
173.
170. So, but they're coming out 20 years down the road, they're worth $100 million. Like, how's that happening, right? 170,000? What's going on?
They're coming out 2 to 4 years in 2 terms, millionaires.
Yeah, right. I mean, like, I don't know what kind of investments they got going on, but I want to talk about term limits and how, because I think the people should be the ones to vote on that for their representatives, right? That's just me. Because I think you're one of the first guys I've talked to outside of, I've known Rand Paul's talked about it in Kentucky, but most Republicans say we need term limits. And when they get in there, I'm like, well, I got to get a lot of work done here, and it's going to take me some time. You're saying, look, I'm out, whether term limits are in or not, I'm out in 8 years. Someone else needs to step up, and I appreciate that. Tell us your vision for term limits real quick.
Okay, there's a couple different ways to get term limits. One way is we go in and we vote on it. We bring up a bill, we vote on it. Once we set term limits in place, and right now my biggest thing is I'm worried about Congress. We'll start with Congress, then we'll work on the Senate. Get a congressional bill in there, get enough, people, if they say they're going to do it, pass the bill. Then that will term limit. Once it's in legislation and passed, it goes to the Senate, goes back to the House, goes to the president signs off on it, done. That's the easiest route. The next route is passing legislation, or there's a way to do it to where you put it on the federal ballot and have the people vote on it. Then, let them be the deciding factor. Okay. Right. Or do the people want term limits or do they not? So it will go on the next federal ballot, and that will be part of the federal ballot. The federal election, and they will vote on it. The people will vote on it, and that'll be it. Then it's done. It's just like passing it in Congress. And the third way, of course, is convention of states, which everybody knows that. There's only 3 things the convention of states can do. They can require a balanced budget, which we need that. They can set term limits. And then the third thing is, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah,
but there's only 3 things that they can do. So they can't have a blowaway convention to where they change everything with amendments. That can't happen. Or, and that's the other thing. We can create a constitutional amendment that ourselves, and then it goes out to the states to get voted on. So, that's pretty much the four easiest ways to get it done.
Let me ask you this. Do you think, because I don't, I mean, you might feel the same way, you might not. Do you think, let's say you get elected in November, you get up there and your first thing is like, hey, we're putting term limits in place, guys. And you get enough people to actually vote on it out of committee, goes to the floor. Do you think Republicans will actually vote? I know Democrats aren't going to do it, but do you think Republicans are going to say, yeah, you know what, this is a great idea. I think we should do this. I know they talk about it, but do you think it'll happen?
I don't think so, but
I appreciate your honesty, man. I do.
Honestly, I don't, but I'm gonna make it happen because I'll call them out. I'll start a website. Hey, these people are in your district. I'll send out emails to everybody that's in these representatives' district and say, these people don't want term limits. They want the same old. They want to keep getting in there and keep getting fat and keep getting fed, all this money and all that, all these backdoor politics and everything. That's what they want. They don't want accountability. They want to just keep making money. The representative from Alaska you were talking about, length, he passed away. He had been in there for 49 years. 49 years. That's why they had the special election, this recent special election. 49 years. Okay, 8 years. Now, I will, if they want, we really need 10. Hey, I'll be happy with 10. As long as I can get term limits, as long as we know that, hey, in 10 years, these people are gone. Okay, We're going to get new blood in there. We're going to get fresh ideas in there. We're going to get people that are moving up, that really want to do the right thing like me. and that's another reason why I was running against Garrett, was because he's been in there 8 years. If he can't get it done in 8 years, it's not going to get done. Then it's just a pad in my pocket thing.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I don't think they would do it, and so I think it needs to get. I think the people have to demand. But I love your idea, and this is where Ronald Reagan had what was called the 11th commandment, that thou shalt not speak ill of another Republican. I actually hate that commandment, simply because I think you're right. As Republicans, we should hold each other accountable, right? I'm a Christian. I have brothers and sisters in Christ that I expect them to hold me accountable, right? If I say something on here that's wildly inappropriate, I expect them to say, hey, man, that was inappropriate. You should have said that. That was wrong. And they do, right? There are times where that needs to happen. We have neglected to do this within our own party, to the point where now, like you said, these guys just do whatever they want. And there's no accountability. Having someone that says, hey, look, you said this in the campaign trail. You've said this the last 3 elections, and you've not done it. You need to either, one, step aside, resign, get out of here, or you need to be held accountable by your people, and I am going to hold you accountable. And so I appreciate that, because that is the thing that's missing in our government, is accountability. But I want to hit a couple of things too. So, dude, you have a good platform. I'm not gonna lie. You talk about American jobs. You talk about healthcare for the mentally ill, and I appreciate this. I myself have ran into a really nasty episode of depression several years ago, and there was just no help. Like, insurance doesn't cover that. Insurance, like, you got to come out of pocket if you're going to see somebody. Yes. Some of the prescription drugs are crazy expensive, and especially for the men and women that we send to foreign lands to fight our wars for us. We bring them home, and we'll tie this into the VA thing, because I want to talk about that as well. The VA and then just the health care of our veterans is abysmal. I mean, like, we're talking these. I have a friend of mine. He was an Iraqi war veteran, had a knee injury, and dude, I mean, he was out. It's been a while since he's been in Iraq. It took him, I think, 3 or 4 years before they actually would conduct a surgery. I mean, this guy could barely walk. Now, when he got the surgery, he was great. But 4 or 5 years, the guy couldn't work. Exactly. And so it's like, what are we going to do? Well, these are the guys who are fighting for our liberty and our freedom. And you guys are going to he's going to be homeless if you don't do anything. So let's dive into your on the VA and the mental health for our veterans, and kind of share with us what your vision is.
Okay. Well, my vision with the VA, and it all ties in with mental health. It's the same thing all around. There's enough mental health professionals in this country to provide the needed care that everyone needs. It's just, the mental health to a lot of people, especially the federal government, is a 4-letter word.
Yeah.
They don't like it. Just like, if you're a veteran and you want to keep fighting, and you don't tell them, hey man, this last explosion, I think I might have a TBI or something like that, because they want to continue to fight. They went over there for one reason, to protect this country, and if they do not tell them that they have a TBI, which would automatically take them out of the war front, and then they get discharged, and all of a sudden they have a TBI. Oh, well, how do we know that was during your military? I'm like, how else are you going to get a TBI? It's stupid. Okay. So my idea, there's about $290 billion in the VA budget every year. Okay. It's not getting spent correctly. I want every single veteran, which if you retire out of the military, you get TRICARE insurance, and it helps out a lot. But the ones that don't have that or cannot get access to that, they need access. Their primary care physician, they need to have a primary care physician like all of us have,
right,
that gets the money and is able to tell them, okay, you need an MRI. We're not going to wait 9 months for the VA to give you an MRI. You need an MRI, we're going to set it up. You'll get it in a week. Okay, just like us. And if we have to contract this out to a private healthcare facility, private healthcare, let's just use Blue Cross.
Right.
Okay, put it out for bid. Blue Cross wins. Well, then every single primary care physician for every veteran, they're going to have that insurance. Federal government's going to pay for it 100%. with this money because they put their life on the line for this country. This country needs to be there for them.
Right.
All these homeless vets, the same thing. It takes them so long to get health care that a lot of times it's too late. A lot of times the trigger's pulled, the drugs are inhaled. They have once they get back, it's like, oh, you're a citizen now. We're not worried about you. Hey, let's get we got these 18-year-olds coming in. They don't know anything. Let's start abusing them. No, we have to take care of our people. Mental health is the same way. The school teachers and the parents, a lot of times the parents deny it, but the school teachers know their kids. They know the mental health issues. It needs to be acted on quickly. The parents need to get involved. Record them in class. Get a camera in class, record it, and show the parents, hey, this isn't right. But we have help, and we can get your child help, and it won't cost you anything. That's what needs to be done, period. I mean, it's going to piss a lot of parents off because parents think that their children are just angels, because they don't want them to be mentally deficient and stuff. But it happens. I'm like you. I fought a huge bout of depression in 21. Huge. Between friends and God, it pulled me out of it. Right. So that's the only thing that saved me.
I think the stigma on mental health is simply because we don't understand the idea that just like a leg can be broken, your mind can be damaged. I mean, like I've had several concussions. I played football growing up. I had several concussions. Back in the day, we didn't know what concussions, how bad they were. Since then, I've had couples just because I'm apparently prone to hit my head on the back of my tailgate. My wife gives me heck for that all the time, but car accidents, things like that. And I can tell you that you can feel fine 1 second and the next second everything falls apart and you don't know what's happening. And so I agree. My thing is we have, and you bring up a really interesting point. I was earlier this morning, I was flipping through some news articles and Breitbart News shared an article that said State Department funds drag theater performances in Ecuador. And they ended up sending $20,000 down there for this. And I'm not here to debate drag queens or anything like that, but I'm talking about the money that our government is sending to other countries. So there's a great meme, essentially says, if our government can send $800 million to Ukraine, they're taking too much money from you, right? Or something of that nature. Yes. And during the pandemic, or whatever you want to call it, I have to be careful because YouTube will censor me here, but New York City spent, I think it was like 1.2 million, or it was a bunch of money, 500,000. It was between 500,000 and $1 million on planting trees in New York City, downtown New York City. And I'm like, what? Why does the federal look? If New York City state or city government wants to do that, I am 100. Yeah, feel free. Whatever. It's your city, do it. But why are the feds doing this? Right? Why are the feds sending millions, literally millions and millions of dollars? And look, I understand there's a war over there. I'm kind of a Ron Paul Republican when it comes to let them figure their own mess out. And if they come deal with us, then we'll deal with them. But we spend you've looked over the budget. You know what I'm talking about. There is a crap load of money that is going to, if the American citizens knew what it was going to, genetic sex research on squirrels, they would probably be rioting in the streets, but they don't know.
No, they don't, because it's all tied in, into these bills, these spending bills, and it's under the table. And then that's something I want to change. I want single item legislation.
Oh, yes.
Done. Okay. Because all these earmarks and pork spending and all that, that's what's killing us right now. If it is that good, then you should be able to put it in a single item legislation and it'll pass.
Right.
Done. Period. State of Louisiana does it. Everything in the state of Louisiana, all legislation in the state of Louisiana, just single item legislation. If it does not involve that item, you're not going to get voted on. It's not going to get put into that bill. And that's where the federal government, but they, like you say, they've gotten complacent. They're like, people don't worry about us. They can't do anything to us anyway. We're going to do whatever we want. That's the federal government I want to change.
I like to and this is pretty brave of you, honestly. On your website, you talk about the green initiative. You talk about how we're just not really ever going to get away from petrol, oil, that thing. But you do say, hey, look, we do need to look at other options. And I appreciate that because I agree. I think there's other options out there for energy. I think nuclear is not only one of the safest and cleanest options, it's probably the most effective to get things done. And share with us a little bit on your green initiative idea. And let me just be clear to those listening. I'm not talking about the green initiative that AOC is talking about. And that's not what he's talking about on his website. So I don't want you to confuse, oh, I'm not going to vote for Brian because he's one of those crazy liberal guys. That's not what he's talking about. Go to his website, check it out. We'll link it below. But share your vision with the on alternative energy sources plus, because look, for Louisiana, I mean, you're talking green energy. Louisiana is oil rich, right?
Yes.
So people freak out. They're like, wait a minute, this is my job on the line. Share your vision with what's going on and your vision for alternative sources of energy.
Well, okay, like you said, the petrochemical industry will always be here because you have to use petrochemical. You have to use oil to produce everything. It is there is nothing that is produced that does not take petrochemical. That does not take oil, natural gas, anything like that. Everything, electric cars. Everything on that car is built with oil. Solar panels, everything on a solar panel is built with oil. These big windmills everybody looks at. The front main bearing holds 60 gallons of oil. The rear bearing holds about 20 to 30 gallons of oil. Everything on it is built with oil. And the bad thing about a windmill, the only thing that's recyclable is the actual generator itself. The blades, there's a place in Nevada where they bury the blades because they can't be recycled. Yeah. So, I mean, that's not very efficient whenever you got to spend that much money on. But that's fine. We need to get that extra energy in there. We need to find better ways to produce the energy. I mean, Tesla created a machine that would take electricity out of the static air, static electricity out of the air. But, he was shot and killed and his idea was just disappeared. So nobody knows where that's at. But I mean, it's stuff like that. Get these brainiacs out there working on it. Get these college and high school students. And believe me, high school students are very smart also, not just the college students. So get them out there. Get ideas coming in for this. But we cannot just, boom, all right, we're shutting off the spigot. You can't drive your car, but 10 miles because you can't get that much of a charge on it. Well, I guess you're going to walk or ride a bike. No, that's not going to happen. We're so efficient right now with engines, diesel engines, jet engines, and all that the efficiency level is way, way up there. So, but we have to have oil to start with. We can wean on to green energy. Like you say, nuclear, that is the number one best energy source, period. It's clean. It's safe. It's everything that they have going on nowadays, with all the restrictions and guidelines and everything. You never hear about the plant down in New Orleans, the nuclear plant down in New Orleans. The only time you hear about it in St. Francisville is if there's a water leak or something like that and the siren goes off. Then, oh man, the siren went off. But no, you hear nothing about any of it because it's just that safe. Now, where they get their horror stories is from, the plant in Japan. Well, it's an earthquake. You're not going to help an earthquake. I'm sorry. It's a natural disaster. But our nuclear plants are built pretty much hurricane proof. So they might not be earthquake proof. Nothing is earthquake proof. I don't care what you say. But we need to, start going off, start weaning off. But it's going to take a while. I mean, I'm thinking 100 years at a minimum before. I mean, think about how long coal's been around. Coal's been around for 300 years and we're still using it for power because it's gotten so efficient with the carbon capture and everything. And at the coal plants, there's very little released into the atmosphere. And so as far as the green energy goes, we need to keep researching it. We need to find better ways, but we cannot just dump our energy independence to try to make a very, very small percentage of this country happy. And they're not even happy. They just they don't care. They're not looking into everything, and they're lying about it. That's the biggest thing. The media and the government's lying about all this stuff that's going on. Okay, what do trees use to live off of? CO2. Right. And they release oxygen. Why do you think the plants and the trees were so huge during the dinosaurs? Because there was so much carbon dioxide in the air. They had so much to feed on They're huge, okay?
Yeah.
Because carbon dioxide, that's what they need. Any chlorophyll plant needs carbon dioxide to live. So we get rid of the carbon dioxide, we're getting rid of plants. And
Yeah, and that's what people don't get. Like people
you know,
forget basic science class, right?
basic science, it's fourth grade science.
Yeah. So, but you bring up energy independence is not just good for the country because one, it's cheaper. It's a national security issue, right? So,
It is.
if we are depending on Saudi Arabia or Russia or China for oil and gas and things like that, what happens when we're at war with them? Well, things are going to suck, is what they're going to do, or we're going to see major issues. And
Mhm.
for the life of me, I don't understand why this administration thought it was a good idea to turn oil off in our country. I understand hey, this is our agenda. Fine. And like you said, I totally get it. I think too, in 100 years, the energy industry is going to look completely different.
Mhm.
But you can't, like you said, you can't turn the spigot off and just expect any. I mean, I have 5 kids. I drive a Ford Transit 350 simply because I don't want my kids touching each other. Because it's like they scream and holler and all that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
right? But it's a great vehicle. But to think that and according to this administration, by 2035, I have to have an electric car. Well, let me just tell you, unless there's some kind of major change in battery life with some of the
Mhm.
current vehicles, that battery wouldn't take my car 60 miles, right?
Yes.
And we need other avenues, and you're never going to get away from
No.
oil. You're never going to get away from diesel, and because look, natural gas and all these different things that there's different things that if people knew the depths of how much oil, I mean, like it's in your phone, right? It's in your pens. I mean, like there's nothing in my office that doesn't have it.
Right.
So I think it's a national security issue. A couple of things I also wanted to reach or talk to you about. Um, I think you stand really good on immigrants, on federal waste, on executive power. Let's talk about that. You and I, we've lived through the last 2 years, right? We've seen the use and abuse, really, of the executive power.
Use is
Um,
correct. Yes.
we're how I believe this. I believe that the check and balance to executive overreach is the 10th Amendment. The states have to exert their right
Yes.
and say, look, we're just not going to do that no matter what you say.
Mhm.
And what I've seen a lot of times is um, states will back down when the federal goes, oh, we'll just pull funding, right? And I've always been of the opinion, especially in Louisiana and Texas, we have a lot of resources here that the rest of the country, not just the country, but the world uses. If we said, well, okay, you're going to turn off funding, fine. We're going to turn off the oil. We're going to turn off the gas. We're going to shut these down, and we're going to trade based on this. On your that's me. On you, where do you stand on executive? How do you curb executive power, and how do you do it from a state's issue or states' rights issue from your point of view?
Uh, well, first of all, whenever you're talking about the thank God that he doesn't have the executive power to pass spending bills
Oh,
because we would be, I mean, we'd be destroyed right now. But as far as, energy independence and what is best for America, we need to curb any president's ability to be able to shut down this country without congressional and Senate approval, period.
right.
Like we can only go to war for 30 days before the Congress has to
Yeah.
actually
Declare war, right?
declare war. So, that's what we need. If the president decides that he wants to do something that affects the entire American and affects the United States of America, especially whenever it comes to energy independence, we need to pass legislation that curbs that, that stops that, okay, well, you can bring this idea up and we're going to vote on it. And if we vote no, then it doesn't matter what you sign off on. Okay. The large items like that, that's what needs to be curtailed. The items where, and we just went through a pandemic. Okay. 2 of the states just told the federal government, screw you. I'm not doing anything you say. DeSantis and Christy Noem, I mean, I love them too. I love them too. They have been adamant against the federal government. And, North Dakota never went into any lockdowns. They didn't wear masks. And they turned, I mean, their economy is booming right now. Florida's economy is booming right now. Louisiana is starting to pick up again, but Louisiana is the last to get affected and the last to see the results. So we kind of mingle between the highs and the lows. Thank goodness. But that's great. That's why I love Louisiana, because we're laid back, we're cool, we love it. But executive power, the biggest thing is, energy independence and stuff like that. We need to stop that. The mandates, there needs to be something in legislation that says, okay, the president can enact a national emergency, but after 30 days, Congress has to approve it. Every 30 days after that, it has to be brought back up to Congress to be renewed again. That's how it needs. That's how the executive powers need to be curtailed. Now, there's certain executive powers that I don't have any problems with. All the presidents use them, and they for stuff that needs to get done by Congress for the better of this country. The Congress is just like, oh man, that's gonna if I vote on that, I'm gonna commit political suicide. I don't care. Commit political suicide. You're not, because the people want that. That's what needs to be done. So in me, I don't care. 8 years, I'm out. So if I get in, I'm bringing a hurricane with me. But yeah, the executive powers need to be reined in. The ones that affect the entire country in a bad way. That needs to stop.
And I appreciate too. You even have on your website, you talk about vaccine mandates and things of that nature. It's just freedom of choice, because that's a big issue right now, right? Like, so after COVID and the vaccines roll out, and now we're seeing a lot of, and I have to be careful here, sudden things happening, and people are very concerned. And now there's a lot of talks like this is going to be added to the children's schedule. Look, when I say I'm pretty free, I'm like, look, as long as you're not stealing something, damaging property, forcing someone against their will to do something they don't want to do, you're good with me, right? You want to get, you want to get the jab, go get the jab. I may not want to, or she may not want to, or whatever. That's fine.
Yes.
I appreciate that, because right now, and I said this, 2 decades ago, when me and my wife started talking about having kids, is this is going to come up. This is going to be an issue in the future, and we need to know where we stand on it now. And I love your stance on this, actually saying, hey, look, this is really up to the individual. It's their choice. And you even go so far as say we shouldn't even mandate it for, and if I'm wrong, correct me, please, for people going into the schools. Like it's really none of their business. So, because I have a lot of friends here locally who would definitely learn and jump on your campaign because of this one issue, because they're very adamant about it. So share us with your vaccine thoughts and where you stand on that.
My thoughts on any medication. At first, I was kind of upset about some of the medications, years ago, great medications that were worldwide that we couldn't get in here because it had to be studied for 10 years. Had to be. So these vaccines that are out there, the chickenpox vaccine and all that stuff, once you've had chickenpox, you probably don't get it again, but then you have the chance for
shingles.
Yeah. So, when you get the shingles vaccine whenever you're older, if you don't want to get the shingles vaccine, don't get it. That's on you. Children, there's certain things they need to be vaccinated against, but then it is still up to the parent. I feel like vaccines are there for us. I got the flu vaccine once, or the flu shot once. It's not even a vaccine. And that year I got the flu. Never taken it since, and I've never gotten the flu. Okay, again. So, that's just me. But, as far as being mandated and being required, especially this last, I don't even call it a vaccine, it's a shot. It wasn't even proven. And now we're finding out from Moderna and Pfizer that, we never tested it for not being able to transmissible. And I'm like, well, you said you couldn't transmit it if you had the shot. Well, we never said that. That's what the CDC and the government said, because we never tested it. And I'm like, okay, there's a reason now. I see why. 10 years. Okay, if it's an emergency use, fine. Put it out there as an emergency that can be used if you want it. And the same thing on the mandates with healthcare. You have doctors and nurses losing their licenses,
right,
because they're not following the federal government mandated protocol. They're doctors. They know more than everybody in the federal government. I guarantee you they know 110% more than me on any of it. I get my research from them, from the New England Journal of Medicine and other places that tell me what is going on. And whenever they say we don't know, then hey, we need to shut it down. We need to figure out. We need to know. So as far as the mandates go, no, I'm 100% against any kind of mandated vaccine that has not been clinically proven over years and years and years. But even then, it's between the doctor and it's between the healthcare person and the individual. Okay. This whole COVID thing was the largest HIPAA violation in the history of the United States, period. I mean, the largest. So why even have a HIPAA law? If you're going to be required to show your card because you got a vaccination, and if you don't, then you can't do anything. Hey, that's my personal medical history. That's between me and my doctor. If my doctor says I need it, I'll get it. If my doctor says, no, do not get it. You're healthy, you're young, don't get it, then no. Healthcare, individuals, government needs to stay out of it, period.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. And you're right, because let's be honest, there were doctors informing their patients who may have recently fought cancer or had heart issues, say, hey, do not get this yet. We don't know enough about it. And the government's coming and say, you're going to get it whether you like it or not. So I appreciate that. So wrap up. Here's what I want to do. Where can people find you? And then tell us real, short, sweet, to the point. Why should they vote for Brian in the election?
My website, belzerforchange.us. They can go and look at my entire platform, everything that I'm about. On October 29th, I'm going to be in West Baton Rouge Parish at a big car show, food truck expo. So I'm going to be there on October 29th. So anyone that wants to come out and talk to me in person, I will have a tent there. I will be there, and I personally will be there. I'm not going to send a representative. It's going to be me. So you're going to be talking to me. And why should you vote for me? Because I've been there. I've done that. I've lived at the bottom where I've ate bread and slice of cheese. I know what it's like to be at the bottom. I know what it's like to build everything up and to think that you're doing so good just to have somebody to come in and tear you down whenever you shouldn't be tore down. I've been there. I've done that. I pump my own gas. I clean my own toilets. I wipe up everything that's disgusting in my house. I mow my own lawns. I do my own landscaping. That's why it looks so horrible. I've done everything. I do everything the common, ordinary citizen does. And I know the pains that the common, ordinary citizen is in. Whereas these other people, they're, 2 years in Congress and you're a millionaire. There's something fishy there. But guess what? They still get reelected. It's the same old. So that's what I tell everybody. If you want the same old, and you're happy with the way the country's running right now, hey, keep voting the way you're voting. If you want change, because I can promise you that I will not be in there to party. I'm going to do my time in Washington. I need to do. I'm going to get what's need to be done. Then I'm coming back to Louisiana, and I'm spending the rest of my time talking to the people in Louisiana, finding out everything that needs to be done, finding out why the stuff that needs to be done isn't getting done. And, I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to fight for every single constituent in this district. And I'm going to work with everybody. If I've got friends of mine that are Democrats, hardcore Democrats, but guess what? They got great ideas for like prison reform. I'm big on prison reform. So I'm going to take their ideas, and I'm going to say, hey, look, give me your idea. Hey, come with me to Washington. Let's get this put in stone. Okay. Let's talk about it. Other people that have great ideas for, Social Security and stuff like that. I feel Social Security should be locked in place, period. If you put this money in your entire life, you should get that much money out your entire life. Federal government doesn't like that because they can just take Social Security whenever they want, use it as an overflow or whatever. No. These people, some people, that's all they have. My father-in-law and mother-in-law, that's all they have is their Social Security. We help myself and my wife. We're fortunate enough to where we can help them out doing the things that just so they can live. That's just the way it is. And that's why you should vote for me. I'm a Christian. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a business owner. I'm a citizen, and I am fed up.
Love it. I love it. All right. So real quick, just for fun, I wanted to start doing this. One movie you recommend and your favorite album of all time, totally off the cuff, favorite movie or a movie you recommend. Oh, did we lose you? Uh-oh. That's the key point. We lost him. Oh, there he is. There he is. Where is he? I heard him. Uh-oh. Oh, right at the end. Golly. Well, that stinks. I think we're losing some service here, guys. Well, I'm going to have to. Brian, can you hear me? I think we lost him. Well, that's it, guys. Hey, here's what I'll do. I'll reach out to him and ask him his favorite movie, favorite album he recommends. Maybe we can bring him back on the show and dive in. Here's the deal. If you want to learn more about Brian, go to his website, belzerforchange.us. He's got a great looking website. I'm over here on it right now, just looking at it. It's great. He says it's time to stop the same old, and I agree. So go to his website, check it out. Lots of cool stuff. You can check out his platform. You can see his different things, where he's going to be. You can get a yard sign, events coming up, frequently asked questions. You can even reach out to him. That's how I contacted Brian. Went to his website, contacted him. We were in communication. We went from there. So if you want to connect with Brian, wait, let's see. Is he back? Brian, can you hear me? No, it doesn't look like it. Yeah, he's off. It fell off. It's all good, though. But yeah, go check out Brian's website, belzerforchange.us. Learn a little bit more about him. He's running for Congress in District 6 here in Louisiana. So go check it out. Also, friends, hey, look, have you jumped on our subscribers list yet? Are you getting our emails? It's free. It's free. Go to our website, thelibertybell.com, and jump on our email list. We're not going to spam you with a bunch of emails every day. It's 1 to 2 a week. We like to send out information. We got some really cool stuff coming up. Matter of fact, if you're on the email list, then you know right here that you get it before anyone else. This is going to be out today. Well, it's Thursday, the 21st, right? So all our email subscribers are going to get this interview, this show today. If you're not, then you're actually watching it a week after it took place. And you don't have to. You can actually watch it the day it comes out. So just jump on the email list. Totally free. And hey, look, if you want to throw your boy a bone and support what we're doing here, help us get new equipment, help us do some of the things we're trying to do here, go to our Patreon and subscribe. Become a Patreon supporter. You can either, one, be an individual who says, hey, $8.99 a month. I'm not going to go to Starbucks. I'm not going to get a #1 Big Mac meal at McDonald's. I'm going to help Shawn, Anthony, all these guys out who are promoting liberty. You can do that right there. Simple. Or if you have a business or a grassroots marketing campaign, grassroots organization you want to support, you can do that as well. You can support us there. Lots of opportunity to do that. But yeah, guys, go to our website, check out more of our articles. We got a lot. Let me pull something up here because this is there's some good stuff on there right now. Of course, our 5-Minute Fridays or my 5-Minute Fridays are always on the website, which I just recorded one this morning, and you should see that on the website here in just a few hours. The economics of higher education. Angelo Monaco, our resident economist, has a long form article talking about higher education and all that goes on with that and the economics of it. It's fantastic. It's a deep dive into what's going on in our education world, and you really need to check it out. James Ergasetti, I say his name all wrong all the time, but him and his wife have a new article up called, here we go, Fact Checkers Cover for Democratic Party's Sordid History with the Ku Klux Klan. I'm surprised this one hasn't been censored yet, honestly. Of course, my last week's 5-Minute Friday, America is a Christian Nation. All of these great articles and more are out there. And then don't forget, tomorrow, you're going to see Jeff Carrera's newest article right here on the website. You need to go check it out. That's going to be awesome. I love Jeff. We're going to have him on the show soon, hopefully next week, maybe. But yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in. Shawn Wilson Show. Brian Belzer running for Congress. Hope you enjoyed that. Go check him out. Go check him out over there. And go check out our stuff. If you're not a subscriber, go subscribe to our email list. It's free. If you want to support the show, go to our website, hit the the link that says support us on Patreon. If you haven't followed any of our social media, like subscribing on YouTube or Rumble or Facebook, you should connect with us. We want to connect with you. We appreciate everyone who tunes in. And, for now, guys, that's it. Have a great weekend. It's Friday. We'll talk to you soon.